Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the words of the KITZUR HILCHOS SHABBOS, and we're going through all the different leniencies, perhaps, that we will have in the world of malacha on Shabbos when you're not going to be held accountable. Another category is called makalkel, destroying. You need a malacha that has a purpose and a goal attached, and it has to come to fruition. Some kind of a tikkun, some kind of a corrective activity needs to take place through the malacha, the action that you're doing. And therefore, if on the other hand you destroy something, that's not called a chashuva, a valuable malacha, and therefore you're going to be exempt. Therefore, if you end up ripping your clothing, he writes in parentheses, but not when you're angry, because if you're ripping your clothes when you're angry, so then it's serving a purpose, it's calming you down, that would be an issue. But if stamazai, just because you decide to rip clothing, or you destroy a building or some kind of a structure without the intention to rebuild, if you intended to rebuild, so then I'm knocking it down in order for the sake of rebuilding, that's already called tikkun, that's already called fixing something. So it has to be for no reason, not just to destroy. Since there's no tikkun, there's no correction, there's no fixing, there's no benefit from what you are doing, you're only destroying. Therefore, according to the letter of the law, you're not going to be chayav, you're not going to be obligated for the kilkel, for the destruction that you did on Shabbos. Nevertheless, he writes, Midrabanan yesh kan isser, on a rabbinical level, we'll see that there is going to be an isser prohibition over here. Next category, davar she'enu miskayim, something that is not going to endure. Just like when they were building the Mishkan, everything they did was when they were doing actions and malachas and work that's going to be miskayim, that's going to endure and going to last. Kamo kain b'malacha Shabbos. So too when it comes to doing a malacha on Shabbos, ein mischayavim ad sho'isim malacha miskayemes. You're not going to be chayiv, which means you're not going to be a transgressor until you did a malacha that is miskayemes, that will endure, that will last. V'hainu kegayin b'malaches koisev. So, for example, when it comes to writing, you're not allowed to write on Shabbos. However, ein kan chiyuv elim koisvim b'davar miskayim al davar miskayim. You're really only chayiv, you're only going to be transgressing if you wrote with a material that is miskayim, that will last, and you wrote it onto a material that's going to last as well. So ink on paper, which can last, that's a problem. And so too by all the other malachas as well. Two things have to take place. Number one, it has to be an action that is going to be miskayim, and it has to be done onto something that is miskayim, that is going to last. Nevertheless, gam kan, even over here, even though that midaraisa, according to the Torah, you're going to be exempt, yesh kanisim midarabanan, there's still going to be a rabbinical prohibition in such a case. So, for example, if the isser midaraisa is writing on a paper, so writing, let's say, 2 letters on a paper, because over there it's a word that's going to endure, it's going to last. But perhaps writing on the frost that's on the window, which is going to end up disappearing anyway, will not be an issa deraisa, but that would end up being an issa midrabanan. That would be a rabbinical prohibition. One last thing, misasek. What does it mean, misasek? To be involved, so to speak. Misha asa malacha gemura bli kavana. If a person does a malacha, complete malacha, but they did not have kavanah, they didn't have intention to do it. Which means at the time that you are doing it, you didn't even realize you're doing a malacha. You put something in your pocket, in your clothing, and you didn't realize you had it. Now you walked out into the Rishizah, you put a handkerchief, tissue, you were in shul, you blew your nose, typical standard case. And you have a tissue in your pocket, you totally forgot about it, you didn't put it there to carry, just put it in there, you didn't want to be a mess on the table. And then you carry it from the shul, Rishus HaYachid, into the streets of Shus Rabim, public area. Even though that you're doing complete hoitzah of carrying, you did not transgress a Torah prohibition. And you're not obligated to bring a korban chatas. It's called misasek. It's called just like in the act, so to speak. You're just doing what you do. When we call malkaim, nevertheless, like we said before, on a rabbinical level, there's going to be a prohibition. Therefore, you have to be very careful on Shabbos not to come to doing any malacha, even if it's only b'derech misasek in such a way where it's just the action that you're doing without any intention of doing a malacha. Even there, rabbinically, is going to be an issue. Have a wonderful day.